Welcome to the Coach Speak podcast, built for coaches, by coaches, hosted by Jamie Bolton and Dustin Martin. Sponsored by Ray Crowther, providing the nation's best athletic training equipment since 1932. And R4 Football Systems. Accelerate everything by decoding the game.
Hey guys, welcome back to Coach Speak. Dustin Martin here with Jamie Bolton. We got a special guest tonight. Before we get going, I want to shout out to our sponsors, Team Builder, Tsunami Bar Sports, Pro Quick Draw, and guys, don't forget about Coach Speak Pro, new platform that we offered, and right now the first 100 coaches are getting it for $200 off with the promo code CoachSpeak200.
Yeah, guys, today's guest is one of the rising offensive coordinators in college football with a modern approach to creating stress on defenses. Caleb Corrill, offense coordinator at Georgetown College, has built offenses centered around spacing, leverage, quarterback decision-making, and forcing defense into conflict. Instead of simply collecting plays, Coach Corrill focuses on how offensive structure creates problems defenses can't consistently solve. Coach, we're excited to dive into modern offense and how you can actually manipulate defenses. Man, welcome to the show.
Yeah, really appreciate you guys having me on. I know you guys, we got this on the calendar a month and a half ago, and so when the text popped up, I was fired up. You guys do a great job, and I'm always down to talk how to stress defenses out.
Well, we appreciate it, man. So, Coach, when you build an offense, are you designing plays or designing like defensive conflict?
That's a good question. I mean, I think honestly, so this year will be my 10th year calling at the college level, and to me, like when I play it back in my head, it starts like, what concepts do I believe in? And I try to think of it in a conceptual bucket, something like I believe in and know how to coach. And then what seemed to has happened is like, you always kind of start with the play in mind. But what I've learned is understanding like, okay, you like the play, what's the defense going to do to stop it? So if I have a young guy, we have some really sharp dudes on our staff, like first thing they come to me, hey, I got something. All right, what's the defense going to do to stop it? What's the worst possible scenario? Do we have an answer for it? If we don't, can we build one? And then what I called, that stress piece of the idea, layering the concepts. Okay, now we like it. We know it can work. It's a good cover 3 beater. Does it have viability against 1, 2, 4? Can we get it off for 0? And then once we kind of feel this whole picture out, then starts to me what I think of it as like kind of, term the phrase formation distortion. How can we do it over and over and over without changing the rules on the kids and just keep adding layers to it? 12 personnel, 21, condense the set, FIB it, motion it, empty it. And then, as long as we can control what we tell our kids, the heat map. So wherever the concept just, distributes itself, as long as it keeps the rules intact, we can layer on top of it. And honestly, like that's where I spend most of my time is probably now that we know what we're running is just how do we stress? Like I was on a recruiting visit the other day and there's a defensive backs coach at the same school I was at. Got to know him and I said, all right, what do you not like to see? Like, that's always what do you not like to see? Our head coach is a really good defensive coordinator. So that constant feedback loop is basically what I'm searching for is what's happening right now in football that we can put on top of the stuff we already have to continue to increase that stress level. You know what I mean? So I think it's a mix, but I think you got to start with what you know, what you're convicted in, and what you can teach. And then once you got something, all right, let's distort it, in 10, 12 different ways so that I think of it as viability through a season. Because if you want to play the playoffs, we run inside zone RPO. Okay, well, so does 60% of America. It's like, what do we do to it that makes it viable in week 9, 10, 11 when they got 6 years of film of me doing this stuff, right, on top of the season. So I think that's the way I look at it. I think I have some the experience level that I've got now, like that helps that I can kind of get to that, thinking about stress and defenses. But I don't like doing something that doesn't initially put some form of like an initial layer of stress on where you kind of bail out the defense. Like they can mess up and still defend it in a way. That stuff keeps me up at night. So combination, but that's kind of where we've evolved it to, and that's kind of what gets my brain ticking.
Yeah. You had a lot of good stuff in what you just said, Coach. A lot of good stuff. The one thing I'm kind of thinking, I was just talking with Jamie about this the other day, is like really like quick game attacks like holes that are underneath, but like intermediate game starts attacking actual coverage structure. And
Yep.
like it's super important, and from a defense standpoint, one thing I hated to see was like any kind of vertical switch. It didn't matter what coverage we were in. It just seemed like something that was super tough. But the trade-off with that is you got to have protection long enough to be able to get the vertical switch off, or have, like you're saying, have the answers where if we are seeing some blitz coverage, some press zero, instead of running, curl comeback, vertical switch, like what is the adjustment? But, that's really good. I like the way you phrased it, starting with the scheme, but also keeping in mind, and the experience piece you hit on is so important because, and Jamie probably can attest to this, but every year that you call it, you just start getting better and more comfortable with, this is what we want to do, and this is what I do if they try to take it away this way. You just those adjustments. And I think that's why some of the older experienced coaches always have an answer. Like I know what we're going to do. Hey, here's what we have to do. And I think that's super valuable.
And our relationship too, with like Coach Martin, like he's a defensive guy. So like even this week we were talking about a particular concept that I have a huge tendency, but it's a really good concept. So we just keep running it. And we were just talking about like, can I do this with quick motion? Can I stack the guys? Can I work the back? Can he work across? Just little things like that from a defensive perspective can put stress on the defense, but also protect a tendency as well. And I think those are probably a lot hand in hand. But Coach, we're going to get into this first segment really talking about how offenses create that conflict. And what do you, and this is kind of maybe a broad question, but what actually stresses defenses today in your mind?
Great question. If I misspeak from our defensive perspective, you can shoot me down on air, but
I'm sure Coach Martin will. No, I'm just kidding.
Just say Jimmy's and Joe's. That's what stresses me out.
Thing.
Quarterback that can run, +1 football, that. But here's what I think, and I love the longer I've done this, the more I like start going backwards in time to figure out this trends in football. And to me, my perspective is, I think a couple tools that I think are, real issues at our level. Like I think, certainly at the NFL level, it's been a little more prominent, but you filter down and it's not like condensed formations are a problem. You know what I'm saying? Those are a problem. Our head coach is our defensive coordinator. He's had 5 top 10 defenses in the country. They get after us a little bit. And we had a meeting in spring where, we compress everything. And they spent 2.5 hours on how to match whatever it was, right? And I think if you extend that into adding gaps in the run game, getting the crossers across the field, and then where I go is, okay, you want to compress the formation. You got to be able to throw in, run out of it, right? And make stuff look the same. Well, then start motioning people in it. Start adding gaps fast on another side. And to me, I think defenses are extremely improved over the last 5 years. They just modernized. To me, they've hybridized immensely, where you can't go, here's my 1 high beater, here's my 2 high beater, because I don't know what the heck it is until the snap after the snap. So I think that, you got to get them communicating. You got to get surfaces that are oblong, right? And I think of it as like, I call formation distortion, but like split variability. So I know like our guys, if we have a condensed split that it's 6 yards and 2 yards on this one, and then it's 4 and 1 on this one, and then it's 7 and 2.5, those can all be a different check. Just depend, they could all be a different check. And to us, we're stretching and applying them down. And so we teach our kids like, hey, we have a condensed set and we have a like a pinch set. Like we squeeze it. So but we tell them to like, hey, jack with it. Get a little closer today, get a little wider tomorrow, figure out where the stack check is. And then when you want the stack check on your switch verts, squeeze it down. When you don't want the stack check, widen it out, stack one day. Hey, the next, day 3, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to cross motion into it. Then we're going to short motion into it. Then we're going to Tyreek Hill motion into it. And all we're doing is run the same play. And so to me, like, I think it's that split second hesitation. That's what you're looking for, right? Whether it's in the run game or the pass game, is can you get them? I always think about, can I gain a half a step on the defense? Because when you've done it this long too, I mean, I used to think that I created football. My dad's an old ball coach, and he told me you didn't create nothing, bro. Like this is all old. It's all we all run the same stuff. Curl flat's
Yep.
curl flat. You know what I mean? Belly's belly and ISO's ISO. It's all the same stuff, right? 4 verts is 4 verts. But I always think about it's not what plays you run, it's the ways you run the plays. And so what I'm looking for is where are those little things that create, extra communication, create a slight hesitation to run the same stuff and just distribute them. I think formation and a boundary, and then you go, formation and the boundary. Okay, let's motion into it. Let's motion out of it, and let's run the same stuff. And I think, in particular leagues and levels of ball, 12 personnel surfaces where you got those gaps added, especially if those guys can get out, or 11 personnel that transforms into 12 personnel. I think those types of things you want, I like to chum the bait, like make them think it's one thing to do the other. And it's like, can you hybridize your personnel? Can you vary your splits? Can you get into your empty or your maybe an 0-1 empty or your FIB set that I can't choose what Coach Martin does on defense, but once he chooses what to do, as long as I've got my checklist and the kids know how to answer the questions, they can then attack it, because there's only so many. With a stack check, you could top hat it, you can zone it off, and you can lock and level it. That's it. And then once right? Okay, well then we've got our menu and let's attack it. So I think those are the things that I think about. I love in the NFL too. Like it was 2 years ago, and I'm sort of an ALX guy, but not diehard. But like I just read that, static pass game in the NFL was plummeting, from an effectiveness standpoint. It was all motion. And if you turn on the Rams tape, they did it with Cup and they do it with Puka now. All they do is run those guys. And they have all the motions and this and that, but they're running them, right? And to me, it's the NFL. It's motioning in the pass game. They'll do it a pretty good amount in the run game, and then it's compressing it down to where we can play an 11, but it could be 13 based on our people. And you just add those gaps. So I think you're just trying to change. I like a 2x2 set like everybody else, but if I line up in 2x2, 10 personnel, I'm getting everything in the playbook. If I line up in 2x2 with a 6-yard, cluster in a 4-yard pinch set, okay, now I'm dictating the terms in some form or fashion where it's not the whole playbook. They can't do everything out of it. Or, it's 3x1, 3x1 off ball tight end, right? 11 personnel. That's a great formation. But if you line up in it with standard splits, you're getting everything. You're getting every single thing that defensive coordinator knows how to do, right? But if we FIB it and we snug the split and we cut that single guy to a 6-yard split and we can motion the number one to the boundary out of there, okay, we've taken a traditional formation and made it very versatile. And now those are 5 different cards on just the formation. And then you add on where the people are, that's a problem.
Yep.
And you're just running the same stuff. So that's where my brain goes. And Coach Marty, you can tell me I'm full of crap, but that's
no, man. I think seeing the more untraditional things. I've said it before on here. If you line up in 2x2, 3x1, 10 personnel, we're going to eat you up, because I'm going to load the playbook up. We're going to have multiple dual pressure, sim pressure. Like we're going to throw the book at you because we don't have anything else to worry about. It's like like you said, you do the top hat checks the stack and all these things. But now when you start implementing that, and it's like, oh yeah, they're 10 personnel. Well, they just hop and stack and they just motion the guy. So it's like, all right, now I want to make sure we don't make a call where we're going to blow a touchdown throw. You know what I mean? So it's, to your point, it's that would stress me out as a defensive coordinator, because I'm a type A guy. I'm an offensive guy at heart. So like I want that run scheme blocked up perfectly. It's the same thing on defense for me. So it's like, that makes me be a little bit more base and a little bit more lenient of, hey, let's keep this more 2x2, 3x1, and let's just play our rules from there. So I love everything you said, Coach.
Yeah, it's like eliminating as many variables as you can. Like even when you turn the tape on, like you're looking at the scout tape, I always try to identify those formations or sets that like they only have one thing out of, and then you can take your shot, or then you can set them up. Like you're saying, like you're chumming the bait. Like I could chum the bait if I know where we're fishing. You know what I mean? Like I know exactly where we're at. Like, and in high school football, it's a little harder because you get a lot more vanilla stuff, obviously. But I think in that opening script, and just kind of talk about that, when you do your opening script, are you kind of chumming it out there with like these different sets, of course? Like, is that kind of part of your process?
Yeah, I think, I definitely, I want to see, especially like, I think when you start to get, even like I don't know, at the level I coach at, like if you get a 2x2, you say it's like a 10 personnel, but it's condensed. Like, okay, we might see teams that do it, but they're gonna run mesh out of it. Like that's all I get on tape, right? Or I mean, that's about it. And so one of the things we have to do is we have to confirm their
Mhm.
theory early. So with all the bunches and condensed and compressed the set, we got to confirm theory. So we're gonna do that. The other thing too is like, A, we don't run that many plays, if you will, that many concepts. So I want to hit them in the mouth with our best stuff early. Like I always think about it like we're not going to be silly and just start chucking the ball like down the field. We're going to run our best stuff. We're going to come right at you, right? We get the first down. We want to tempo into the next one and get to one of our favorite calls. And what I think about is A, let's see how good we are. Let's see how good they are. Let's see what's up today. And then they're going to tell you how they're going to defend you. And then ours, in theory, our system should then, okay, this is what they're going to take away. Now we start to go into the flow of complimenting and, hey, okay, they're going to, they're getting that seventh fitter in there tight. They're tucking him in tight. He's coming from the field. He's coming from the boundary. And this is how they're going to do it. This is how they're playing on the back end. All right, now we go to the second level of that same concept. But certainly we want to see formations. We want to see the motions. I want to see how I want to run downhill. I want to throw a quick game. I want, to try to steal, one of our shots in there just to see. I want to see where they're at. Like what is it that they're defending? But I definitely think when you get to the non-traditional world, I think one of the things you have to be willing to do is understand you're not getting a lot of tape on it. You got to kind of, theorize. But if you live in that world, I think you're comfortable saying we're okay with wherever they decide to go with it. We just got to know what the follow advancement is.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point. We've talked about this before. We had a guy on, PJ Katz. He's a great dude. He talked about buckets and, we've kind of ran with that, me and Jamie. And like my goal, I'm actually coaching offense this year. So it'll be fun after a couple years on the defense side. But my job, I feel like I'm going to be in the box is I'm going to reload the clip for the coordinator. That's what I want to do. So it's like, and me and Jamie, we've talked about this, I think off air, is like back in the day, early in our coordinating careers, it's like we would hop in a formation and then try to just run a play to see what we were going to get versus where we are now, 5-8 years later. It's, hey, we're going to shift from a formation we want to see what we're getting, but we're going to shift to another formation and run a really high percentage play. So it's like, hey, we'll start in trips fib. We're going to shift to 2x2, and I'm going to call my best 2x2 concept. Box guy needs to be writing down, hey, how are they handling fib? That way, if it's next series or next time we hop in it, hey, what's the best play out of fib? Hey, man, check A2. That's probably your best play. That way we can kind of communicate. And I think that's what you're saying is finding they are who they are, but they're going to have a wrinkle to try to defend you. And then how can we layer an attack later in the game off of it? But I really like what you said about we're going to do what we do and come right at them just to get a gauge on who are they and who are we in those terms. I like that a lot.
Yeah, let's run some duo at their ass and let's just see what happens. You know what I mean? Let's just see where everybody's at, and then we'll gauge. You guys got the catchphrases too, man. You guys, you gotta make sure you clip those for Twitter, man. Like I'm gonna steal your chum in the water. I've always had chum in the water, but if we know we're fishing, we're on it, right? And then
hey, man, I got that from you, man. We're putting that on.
Yeah, that's big. And then I'm gonna tell my box guy, hey, you're reloading the clip. Bro. That's your job.
It's like, hey, man, you fire them out, and I'm just reloading it for you, buddy. Here's your mag. There you go.
I always get to that. There's always those games, man, where you're looking at your plate. You're like, dude, I don't really have anything left, man. I don't have any other bullets. But I'm down there looking. If I'm staring at it, it ain't a good day. Probably because we tried to run it right at him. We couldn't do it. But there's been plenty of games where I think every game in 2017, we ran like power to the left. Like the first play of the game, like
with spot screen,
the spot screen,
spot screen,
and just to see, man, like you got to confirm, like, are you guys really going to be able to play us? And I love that. I love that. Let's do a little case study, man. So we got, let's say you're facing an elite defensive front, okay?
Okay.
But their secondary is kind of average. How does your offensive thinking change if you do want to, let's say, run duo a lot? Like, are you going to still confirm that, or are you going to come out maybe RPO or hit them with some sort of quick game early?
Yeah, that's a good question. And we kind of get this in what we're seeing right now. We're really good on the defensive front where I'm at. And so, um, a couple things come to mind. I'm a big believer in quick game. Like I love quick game. I think it's underutilized right now in football. I don't know why. It's a whole thing I have, but like, okay, we're comfortable. I always tell I stole it from Brian Hartline, but it's like boys on the perimeter, like you're not racing the DBs, you're racing the D line. Like get yourself to the spot, quarterback, get it out of your hand. Let's utilize our deal there. We still want to establish the run, but to me, what I start thinking about is going back to that old school, like those spread teams that would, get you a perimeter screen. Like we got to get the first down because at our level, they're going to sub up front at some point. Now, if we go 3 plays, that's what our head coach told me. He's like, if you're sticking in three and 4 play drives, you're never going to get the second rotation of guys. So you got to get the first down. However it is, to me, it'd start to be kick the ball out. Let's confirm. Let's use all of our spacing awareness to be able to create some free access. I love 5-yard throws. I mean, you get 5-yard throws. Let's get it. Get the first down. Let's tempo on the first down. Let's have that built into the week to where we can really steal. Maybe that's our duo call where it's like boom, 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 tempo, duo, get your 4. It's an ugly 4. Okay, now we're back into it. We're at 2nd and 6 and really just trying to, can we extend these drives, get these subs kind of moving? And then I'm a big proponent too of like, you got to be able to, attack underneath and whatnot. But it's like, hey, we'll 7-man pro it. We get past that 50-yard line. Like we'll 7-man pro you. If we really think, your switch vertical stuff, we can get on top of them and protect ourselves that way. And so we'll want to confirm it. But I'm also, I'm not a dummy when it's like, hey, I love White Cross and that's intermediate game. That's my jam. But like, if we can't do it that day, like we're going to figure out another way to do it. We're not going to let them take us out of it. We'll get in the 6-man world and we'll not free release the back and we'll find ways to do it, or we'll do it off our 7-man and we'll get the Ole Miss crossers going on. But I think I love quick game against that. I think one of the best compliments we get is, with the schools I'm at, is the corners get mad because we always attack the inside pieces in our quick game, running our stuff, and the D linemen get pissed off because we're quick game and RPO, and it's like we can't get to who we got to get to. They're beating our guys up front. They're swim moving and they can't get there because the ball's out. So it's all, to me, I thought that was a good piece of advice from our head coaches. Got to get that first down. Get to the exchange, right? And if they don't sub, great, you're going to slow the rush down, and then you can run it. You know what I mean? You can wear them out. And our head coach also said, like, you could go the other way and go duo them to death, unless you shouldn't get 0 on duo, but duo them to death, soften them up, and then their pass rush won't be worth nothing because they're going to be getting, they're getting leaned on. Right. So I think you go one of those 2 directions, and I respect good defensive schemes and really good players. I respect it. So you got a good corner, like I'm going to figure out a way to waste my 3rd receiver on your best corner. I'm going to find a way and see, like, are you going to put your best corner as the apex and defend the D gap or what? Like, so I respect good players, but we're not going to let them take us out of where we're trying to get to. And I think it goes to like a phrase I always think about is you got especially as an offensive coach, you have to create the leverage that you desire. There's always a way to create it. And that's where all this variability in your splits comes in. Like, they won't let you go 3-by-1 classic and your X can't win versus a boundary corner. Screw it. FIB it. Put your guy to the field. See if he'll travel, right? And see, and if he doesn't travel, you just got a better matchup. Okay, if he does travel, start cutting the split, start in a stack with your tight end on top, and put your guy behind him. And can you get a clear out? Can you motion him out of it? Can you make him chase? Right? Don't let them dictate. Exactly. Oh, they got the good corner. We can't throw to our X. Well, move your X. Move them. Put them in the backfield for all I care. Figure out a way to make them have to then answer on top of it, of not just being good players, but finding a way to solve those new problems.
Yeah. And I love that. I love the fact that you're talking about different ways of attacking kind of that, whatever you're going to see that week. So, like, based on your identity. So, if you are big and physical up front, what I would call like body shots, like, we're going to take some body shots early. You might stone us a couple times here and there.
Yep.
We're going to get some body shots in and soften you up. And then now we can go to work. The other one is, here's another little tagline. The other one's quick game. Hey, let's get quick game and fast screens, and that's throwing jabs. We're throwing jabs instead of the home run. So I'm on it tonight, man. But I love what you're talking about. Man. Yeah, I'm a big quick game guy. That's 90% of our passing game.
You got the hat on for the quick.
No doubt, man. Yeah, it's outstanding.
It's really good because, like, when you start taking your X receiver and start putting them in the slot, a lot of guys aren't going to put their corner there, but you may dictate them to change their scheme. They may are running some man match quarters and bracket the guy. Now it's 2-on-1, and now you may be getting that matchup somewhere else. It's like, so it's if you go against the right offensive coordinator, like calling defense, it can be brutal, man. It is, and thankfully the level I'm at, a lot of guys don't move their X in the slot.
The hard part, and honestly, man, the hard part with younger coaches too, because we all invented the game when we were 25, right?
No
so
doubt.
The hard part is packaging it all.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's the hardest part about being an offensive guy. It's easy to, like, we can just motion a guy, or like, poof, it happens. Like, no, man, like that, the scaffolding process of, like, creating it in your mind that can then be then you could teach it, and then the kids go out there and do it without having to freaking delay a game and everybody getting pissed off with a two-way player. I mean, now you got even more layers, especially in high school ball. It's hard to pack it. It's not just like poof, it happens.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There's a lot of thought behind it.
Do you have anything in terms of game plan or play call sheet where you're super particular on how you get your playmakers the ball? Like, do you have like specific plays, or it's just like, I know some guys have reminders, hey, get this guy the ball, get this guy the ball, but it's like, we kind of talked, recently this offseason on how are we more intentional about, hey, shifting and motioning. How do we build that in as a natural thing, not a, hey, I'm going to do it the first drive and then I forget about it the next two drives. Like how, I guess the question is, how are you intentional to make sure you're doing what you want to do?
Yeah, that's a elite question. I think a lot of it's like you said, the guy reload. Like, I tell my guys, like, I know where I've called it long enough. I know where my blind spots are. I know what my jam is. Like, what if we get in a funk, this is where I'm going to be, right? And I just tell my guys, like, and it's fine, but you're going to have to remind me of, maybe we put in this shift deal and I like it, but I'm not fluent in it, right? You're going to have to remind me, make me come back to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
For get the ball to playmakers, I always think about it, take that guy and put him on the move. Sometimes it becomes a bait once you start putting him on the move, but put him on the move. We run a lot of, the second level of the defense option route. So our system's kind of built for, now they could double them and we got to kick it elsewhere, but that's okay. But like we teach our top guys, hey, we have multiple, at any spot you line up on the field, we have option routes that you can run. So it's really, that's going to come natural to me. Getting in 12 personnel and you get inside the 15, and we call it ISO ball. So I take, we try to play a bunch of receivers. Let's say it's 5 wideouts. On Thursday, we've built it out as a staff, and Thursday I'll come in there and I'll go, all right, it's 3rd and 6. All right, Coach Martin, ball's coming to you. What do you want? Right. And they got to say it in front of the whole group. Right. Okay. You go to receiver number 2. All right, Coach Bolton, 3rd and 6, ball's coming to you. What do you want? Right. And then the quarterback gets 2 on top of it at the end. Right. And all we're doing is looking at our list like, yep, we're on the same page as our kids. And then what we're doing is we're basically, all right, Clayton wants this. Right. Colin wants that. Right. Brian wants that. And now we're just taking the idea of this game plan that's very scheme specific, and we're melding it to a kid. The other thing we'll give them is, we get in the red zone. Our philosophy in the red zone is run it in, ISO ball, okay, designer, all right, misdirection, okay. And so we tell them, running back, we're running it in until you tell us we can't. And then we're going to go ISO ball. ISO ball is figure out a way 12 personnel, 13 personnel, get under center, whatever gets a one-on-one. And then we ask, hey, Martin, you get the red zone ball. What do you want? You want a whip? You want a in route? You want a fade? You want back? What do you want? And then they know they get that shot, right? It's getting in there. It's second and 9. We gain 1. That ISO ball might come. So now we're putting a little bit on these players to dictate what they want. And then the more comfort I get with our best guys, I'll give, 2 to 3 guys, and I'll tell them, all throughout the off season and end of the season, but hey, you get to remind me, right? If you want the football, tell me you want the football and I will get you the football. Right. And then it puts it on them to go do something, but it's like, you don't give that to everybody, right? The seventh guy comes to you, it's all right, buddy. Like,
you got to feed,
but you give it to your
the dogs.
The dog. Hey, tell me you want the rock, and then even better, tell me what you want.
Yeah.
And so those are some of the ways, but reminders are critical for me, and I think that of making sure that sometimes you get into that flow state and you don't need reminders, but there's good enough teams everywhere that reminders are good. And I always tell our staff, like, I'll highlight it in the game plan, like, you're going to have to make me get to that, and then especially come back to it if you like it. So just finding that line of communication with the players and your staff to make sure that they feel comfortable enough to feed that information to you.
I like that. Run it ISO designer. I like that a lot.
I love that. Yeah, I'm still in that.
I like that. I like that. That'll be good for our listeners. That's definitely going into a snippet, coach. That's really good. And man, it's just, you got to have that rapport with the players. You know which players you can kind of listen to and which players are going to tell you, get me the ball every play. Like, I'm open, and you'll look, they're bracket and double covered. It's like, dude, you're not even close to open. But I'll never forget my first year calling it. Back in 2020, I had a quarterback who's a sophomore. He wasn't a runner, but he was super smart. And he kept telling me, he's like, Coach, like, nobody is like cover me on sweep. Like, everybody is just pursuing. And Chase, can I pull it? I said, no, just do what you're supposed to do. And he kept bothering me. But I said, all right, you can pull it. I said, but if you don't get at least 6 yards, dude, he got like 33, and I was like, okay, good job. Hey, let's do that again. Let's do that again.
Like, great play call.
Yeah, but
great
it was
play call.
It's just, but I trusted him enough where, like, I was hesitant just because he wasn't a runner. He's a sophomore. Right. He's a little undersized, but he's like, Coach, like, when I tell you there's nobody on me, I'm like, yeah, but it's because they already see you hand the ball off. He's like, no, Coach. I was like, all right, I'm gonna give you the chance. But it was like, we ran that about 5 more times that night. But it was you got to have that trust where, if on defense, like, my back would come to me, he said, Coach, you're not sending me enough. Like, I need to get more involved. And I'm like, okay, that's what the kid wants. Like, let's see what happens.
I love that. I love that feedback. Like, I get fired up on that, because to me, the kid, like you said, there's kids, but I think you set the right culture. They get an understanding of what's good and what's not good to a degree. And it's like, that means they're engaged. They're locked in, and like, every once in a while they'll do it and it won't work, but you try not to crucify them on it. I get frustrated as anybody when hey, let's run this. We run it and it sucks. It's like, but I love when the dudes, I mean, we play a team, I think it was like week 9 last year. We got a pretty damn good back, and we came out slinging, like, all of our quick game, and it was ripping. Like, and that was my intention. Like, they stink. Like, we're going to go after them. Like, let's go. And at halftime, we're jogging off, and he goes, all right, Coach, you softened them up. Now let me eat. And I said, yes, sir. And the kid took off. He ran up 150 in the second half, and awesome. He called a shot, and we got in the red zone. I didn't get cute. It's like, we'll just run it downhill. All the RPOs, I kind of geared it back for the quarterback. Like, hey, you can rip it, but like, if it's soft, let him work. And he was right. And he won us the football game. Came from behind on the road. So, I mean, I love that, though. That gets, especially then when they back it up, that fires me up.
Yeah, and then you want to do it again. I remember in 2017, Dustin, we're playing Greenville when I was at York, and second round of the playoffs, and Ladarius Allison, he was like the All-American kid. Like, he's just a great athlete. We call, backside, post wheel and like quick game, and he tells the X receiver that's running the post, said, "Nah, man, you're out. You're going to Z. You're running the 5-yard in, pal. I'm running the post." And dang it, if we didn't hit that mug for like 60 yards or something.
Yeah, there was a big one.
And later in the game, we did something. So he's like, hey, Coach, I want the reverse off the power. We got him. dude scored off of that too, man. Like, it's just one of those guys where you're just like, dude, you're calling it, man. You're feeling it. You're in that flow state. Yeah. You love those players, man.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
Coach, you kind of talked about how, you mentioned something about you wanted to fire a quick game at them because you felt like they were vulnerable. So I guess my question kind of leaning is, when you turn on the tape and you're game planning, you're watching your opponent, what tells you kind of immediately or while you're watching that this defense is vulnerable in this? Or, at your level, there's probably a lot of good coaching, there's probably not, we're going to show up one week and they're going to be misaligned, or, you know what I mean? Other than if you're creating it. But what would you say immediately stands out on film where you're like, man, they're vulnerable in a lot of this stuff?
Space, you know what I mean? Like I think in any level of football, if you get, if I see a zone, like a traditional, like I call it cone drop, like if you're going to spot drop zone, I'm ready for the game on Sunday. Like, let's play. Cause we're going to chew that up, and we're going to, you give us free space. And, I think that it's finding, like, what I do is I make a cut up of, we don't really get the stuff that we do per se, but I'll make a cut up, even if it's standard splits, of how do they match smash, how they match four verts, how they match stick. I'll take mesh. We don't run mesh, but I want to see, like, where does the disengagement? Are they colliding? Are they passing them off? Are they trying to chop them when they clear the box? Like, I want to see in the pass game how they match the routes, how they perceive certain zones, how, when are they modded out, when they manned on a guy, how long do they carry it to? Are they vulnerable? Are people running by, and maybe they played a team without a quarterback the week before, but people are on top of them. I like seeing stuff that people didn't exploit them at, whether it wasn't in their game plan or they just missed on it. And then you can kind of lull them to sleep because nobody beat us on that. It's certain things like that. It's just, like you said, it's usually not bust. It's more, there's a weakness somewhere, and what have teams maybe been really close to working on them, but they just haven't. I think that's even more beneficial to you than what they got ripped on the week before, because they probably spent the whole week figuring out how to not get ripped on whatever it was. So I think it's just like little cues. I mean, obviously personnel is going to be I task my assistant coaches, like, give me the personnel report, right? And I have our players do it too. I have them type up a little thing like, who's the guy, who you want, you know what I mean? Like, who you going after? And so I have the players do it, and obviously I trust my own eyes, but I like hearing from them. And if I got a really good receivers coach, if he's confident, like, I want to go after 26, like, all right. And then our number one receiver comes in and goes, yeah, 26 is a bum. Like, all right, well, we're going to go after 26, and we'll have a couple different ways. But it's personnel based like everybody, but I'm looking for space. Like, I don't know, my eyes, when I turn on film, it's like, where is, like, based on their structure, even when they play it properly, where is space provided that we can.
And I think it's super important too, like, what is their leverage and techniques within that coverage structure? And we do this all the time because it's so easy. Shout out to Dub Maddox and R4. But, like, years ago, he kind of taught understanding the cap of a defensive back and understanding, like, at the top of a quarterback's drop, they may be playing cover 3, but what kind of cover 3 they're playing? Are they inside and on top, or is he inside and underneath, or are they just not really good at it and they're outside leverage in cover 3? So I think it's super important to be able to, and that provides the framework of, hey man, you're seeing a cover 2 corner. So at the top of the drop, we're going to see, is he a true, like, stay below the hard deck kind of corner? Or are they teaching them truly to sink and trap routes, or trap the ball? And I think that's what I'm hearing you say, which is, I enjoy hearing you say it at that level, is there's, like, man, like, the structure and alignment is not really the issue here. It's the technique and how they're going to play it, because, we see a lot of cone drop stuff, and the adjustment is, well, we'll just play man at the high school level. Like, but it's like, if we see spot drop zone, like, our quarterbacks are like, let's go. Like, man, we're about to shred this team up, because it's so easy.
We rarely see, like, zone match. We rarely see man match, other than, like, you know what I mean? Like, Occasionally, we'll get some trap coverage here and there, but and another thing we'll do too is on cut-ups, we'll use a pro quick draw, and we'll actually throw in the leverage at the top of the drop from the
Love it.
defenders and then set their hip angle to where, like, our kids will get the cut-ups, they'll see all that, and they'll say, "Okay, this is how their cap and stick." And
Yep.
then it'll be like, the stars outside leverage, with square hips, of number 2, let's say. And
I love
so
it.
and then now we can go out there. That's a scaffolding piece on PQD. And then we watch the cut-ups with they actually have a new cut-up generator that we're gonna be using soon, hopefully. And then we'll go out to the field and run it. So, love what you're saying. And then for our high school kids, man, if we didn't show them that stuff, they'd be speaking, like a different language to them. So it really helps us out too.
Yeah, no, that's the same at the college level. As I get caught in it too. I mean, we have the same kids, like, and I don't want. I'm the old man on the porch right now, but it's like just they don't watch football. Like they don't.
No,
This group of
yeah.
kids, they do not watch football. They watch the 12-second thing on
Yeah.
TikTok or whatever.
In
So
portrait mode. They don't
correct.
watch
Yeah.
landscape football anymore.
Yeah.
That's another
So I
one,
think that
Dustin, mark that.
the visual cue, and then you got to build in, like, you build in those buzzwords. Like that's why Dub, I think, Dub
Mhm.
is one of the smartest humans. I got a book over here somewhere. But the phrases he uses, they're quick. You
Mhm.
can recall them, right? And like,
Yes.
that's what I think is huge, is once you get that language barrier crossed, like this is what this means. And then we can say, hey, this is how they match this kind of combination, right? And our kids should
Right.
know, okay, that's going to allow us. And I love in the same world, coach, like Coach Martin, you're saying, like you said it better than I did, but it's the techniques. Is I love the O-line guys that come in there with the same nuance and like, hey, they're a spill team. This is how they squeeze the gaps. They had that really technical perception that, okay, well, I got 6 in the box, but how do they have 6 in the box? Like, where do they
Mhm.
see? And I love the O-line guys that come in there with, this is how they play. This is how they're going to, play the pool on counter. And now that takes that a whole new level, because counter's counter and four verts is four verts. But like you said, the technique and the leverage, and then, um, you know, some teams putting on technique that, maybe they don't expose the Mike linebacker in the pass game, but it's like this dude is matching. They match it. He's matching, but the dude cannot match. He
Yeah.
cannot match, right? Nobody has exploited him yet. Okay. Besides running somebody down the middle of the field. It's like, all right, let's exploit that on him. And if we face corners that are really fluid and transitioning and got some length, like, okay, kick it in one level. All right, let's see how those guys transition, right? Like, can we put heavier
Mhm.
personnel in and get a safety roll down that doesn't want to defend that type of a route? And so just finding that nuance, and that guy that just, okay, that's his role, but he doesn't necessarily do it at the level necessary to defend XYZ.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, you can carry over, like you're saying, from run game to pass game. So, like, something like me and my buddy Caleb, we always kind of talk about is like, okay, me and Jamie talked about it in one of our dialing up series the other day, but it's like the team was running ozone or sweep. And like we would go under front because if the center isn't athletic to reach the shade or the 2-eye, the guard
Yep.
has to help. And if he helps too much and turns his shoulders, it creates a run through. What's
Yep.
the kind of the same thing if you're seeing I'm an offensive coach and I'm seeing just cookie cutter cover 3 and all they do is reroute number 2. Well, it's like, hey man, if you can't win on the same and avoid collision, when he collisions you, continue to collision him because the comeback's going to be wide open.
Yeah.
Because you know what I mean? Because it's like he
Yeah.
can't push out there if that's the case. And like if they're probably collisioning, they're just giving the corner time to squeeze. Like they're not going to match one. So it's like we should be 100% completion and comebacks. But I think it's understanding each week, what are they going to try to do to us and how are we going to put them in a bind to help us execute our scheme based on those little nuances that they like to do, and that changes week to week. I mean, it's man, football's such a fun game, man. Like
It
I
is.
love talking about this, and it's just like,
All the
and
perspectives and, everything. There's a lot of commonality, and just hearing different people talk about their
Yeah.
process. And that's why I'm like really interested to hear you talk a little bit about quarterbacks and how you are really intentional with them. But like, have you ever had a quarterback that was, kind of hesitant? And like, if so, like on the field, how did you kind of help him kind of overcome that hesitation with what he's seeing?
Yeah. I mean, I think since I've kind of been moving around the last couple of years, I've kind of gotten into that spot where it wasn't the guy that, you get and you coach all the way up and get there. So I think we experienced it, in the last 2 years really of, because a lot of my mentality, like, our phrase when we go out there is like how people say cut it loose is, hey, it's hoist it. Like, we want the quarterbacks to cut it loose, like HTMF, hoist that. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's go, right? And so we had to kind of convince a really smart, savvy veteran that it was okay to take some chances, calculated chances, right? So I think that, I don't know, I think I like to believe that in the recruiting process and for you guys, that transition phase from middle school up, like we're building the whole system around the quarterback. Like, this is a quarterback-centric operation. You get the tools to the Lamborghini and you can turn that sucker on, and you don't have to run it in first and second gear. Now, we don't need it wrecked every other, turn, but it's cutting it loose. I think a lot of it is building on, figuring out what they can do. And so what I think happened last year for us, and this is a bigger picture to your point, is I think I was forcing my first year in the system at this place, forcing my vantage point of 9 years of calling it onto a kid that's never done it before. And I was really like, it's open, man. It's open. Let's cut it loose. Let's cut it loose. And, maybe doing some things that he wasn't comfortable with. And then what we did at the end of the year was we kind of settled into like, all right, these are some areas where he is making high level reads. All right. Okay. We're literally just going to run that and just multiply it into infinity. Where we're literally going to run these 4 things and convince them like, hey, we're going to change the picture. It's going to be different people, different personnel, but we are not going to change the progression on you. We're not going to do, you're going to read it, the same way, and understand, like, when we get in this formation, it's going to tend to lean that they're going to play it this way, and this formation plays it that way. So I think it's really finding what they're comfortable with. And then you got to generate the feedback, get the feedback loop going. I coach quarterbacks pretty hard, but I give them the keys, and we're coaching excellence, but I think it's getting that feedback loop open of, at the end of the year is, hey man, what do you like? What do you need from me? What do you want to get going with? Like, hey, it's, we time out on 3rd and 5. What do you want, buddy? Like, we'll go where you want to go. How you want to start this drive? Creating that feedback loop. But yes, hesitation, I think, is a real thing. I think you got to build, the confidence from the ground up, and, start it in your, we're not a big Q indie team, but we're a lot of group work, right? So our first drill of the day is layup lines, right? So we're throwing our condensed 2-man stick deal, and it's all about seeing the ball go through the net, right? And it's just rhythm and flow. Not a lot of heavy coaching. It's just rhythm and flow ball placement. Just getting it. Hey, this is what we do. This is what we do all day long. And then we're gonna, as a coaching staff, we're gonna figure out a way to get this sucker open 6, 7, 8 times a game, right? And you're gonna go 7 for 8 on it, right? And potentially 8 for 8. Just doing what we do in pregame, trying to keep it simple for them, right? And then, I think what I did, I did a little bit. I was a little tight on them last year, just because I know what the system's capable of. And then I think what I had to do was meet them halfway, understand where those fail points were, and then really celebrate, like, man, you're really good at this concept. Like, you might not be good at this other concept that I prefer, but you're really good at this. You can read it. You can see it. You're making the throws. Let's lean into that. Let's just be that. You know what I mean? And this season, let's just be that. We'll figure out after the season what we got to do to fix the other one. And sometimes you just got to swallow your pride and his ego, and it's all the same stuff that everybody else has. So I thought last year was for a quarterback in a system. It's the greatest experiment that I've had in my career, because it was it was a system that I've cultivated for almost a decade in a brand new place, and watched it from the ground up with no carryover from staff. So it was all new staff for me, all new players. And that was interesting. Right.
Yeah.
And it taught me a lot of how to get these kids comfortable in, that decision-making mode where, like, you got the gun, man, and you're allowed to shoot it. You're allowed to shoot that sucker. And every once in a while, you're going to, Gruden said, like, a gun shooter's going to get shot every once in a while. Right. But just giving them confidence, like, I'm not stopping. We're still going. We're going to come back out there, and we're going full speed, and getting them confident, like, one mistake is not going to ruin the day, because in this style of offense, like, we should be able to get 5.5 scores on the board, and like a couple stalls here and there. It's like, it should not ruin the whole day, because we're gonna keep coming back at you.
Yeah, and I think no matter what side of the ball you coach, you can get a good feel on how the player in certain positions versus certain calls feels, and that's something, I had to learn early on was like this quick game concept or intermediate, it's like it's there, it's going to be there all night. But if they have any hesitation or they don't trust in it, it's like, guys, I don't care how open it is, he's not going to throw it and he's not going to be successful. And it's like, that is so hard, because it's like, hey man, we're literally running a seam and a fin. Let's just see how the skiff player plays it, man. Like it's like, coach, I just don't have a good feel for. All right, man. I guess we got to move on. Earlier, God,
I mean, and we used to, every Thursday I always give the quarterback what would be on the call sheet, and before our game on Friday, and I'll say, dude, I need you to highlight things that you hope I do not call. And then so sometimes it's like nothing. Hey, coach, we're good. But there might be one of those different little motion stack type deal. He just had
brings
a good picture.
Brings the whole play call sheet that's all highlighted. I don't like none of these.
No, the guy I got now is like, nah, man, and I want these. Like, he'll write some stuff in, which we're in a good spot with that guy. But no, I think that's been something for me to give him some ownership of what we call in the game.
Yep.
And then, if we do have that, and sometimes that hesitation might come in, man, he throws a bad pick, and now he's like, oh crap, what am I doing wrong here? And then you got to go back and resettle him. How do you do that with the kid? It's like, for me, I'm always like, hey man, go back to your fundamentals. Go back to, are you taking the proper drop? Are your eyes in the right spot? Is your timing okay? Like, don't worry about dad in the stands. Don't worry about freaking what the score is. Like, go operate, man. Like, we're giving you the keys to Lamborghini again. I'm not taking the keys from you, pal. Like, let's roll.
Coach, how much on-field coaching versus film room for practice are you doing? Because like what I've learned over the years is like, I might during practice, hey, here's what we're looking for pre-snap. Like, we need to see this at 2 cap, 1 cap, and what are we thinking? But I learned a long time ago, don't talk to the quarterback during his drop. It's not like throw it. Like I learned that. So like in terms of like after each play or snap, do you have time where you coach them up, or do you save that mostly for the film room? What kind of works best for you?
Yeah, I'm a film junkie. I love getting in there and doing the deep diving as many snaps as you got the time for. I'm pretty, I'll if there's a procedural issue in a practice, or like I think their eyes were bad, like what are we doing, man? Like, get your eyes on, where were your eyeballs? Or when I'm a little more comfortable in the spots, like, all right, what'd you see? Right, like, let's consider this. I'm mostly film. Honestly, our head coach kind of said it, because because to me, it's like, I'm not going to be out there. I want to guide them and do all, and I'm the same way. Like, hey, like, here we go. We lined up, and it's quarters. Like, the option's going to be open. Like, I can say those cues, but I want them to feel it. So I'm a big film room guy. But our head coach even said, like, hey man, we want a little more feedback in the practice. So I try to find, certain just quick deals to them. Like, hey, what'd you see? Right. Hey, think about this. I like you. I like where you're at, but think about this. When they give you this is where we want to go with the ball. So, I mean, I'll buzz some stuff in there, but I like to just kind of operate those teamish, competitive periods, like it's flowing in a drive. And then when they come out, I'll talk to them, because I want it to emulate like in between a series.
Yes.
And now we'll get some quick feedback. But I'm way more film heavy. Let's sit in there and let's dissect it a couple times if we have the time to do it, and in a couple that, in a quarterback setting and in a skill position setting. But I try, sometimes not successfully, but I try to just let them play during the day and then come back afterwards.
I agree. I think I tend to subscribe to that too. And actually, when we script team, I actually have to tell the coaches where to be. Because we'll have 4 offensive line coaches, a running back coach, I'm back there, the head coach is back there, the guy flying the drones back there, and then everybody's screaming. And I'm like, dude, like, what are we doing, guys? Like, and thankfully we don't have that issue where I'm at now, but like, we have to put on, like, we're going to coach them on the film. Like, we don't need you to be teaching technique while we're trying to call the cadence in here. Coach, I'm with it, man. But yeah, I don't want to sit there and have a dissertation with a quarterback like in the middle of a team script. Like that's not great, for
Yeah, it
anybody.
just ruins I don't know, it gets
The
mucked,
flow.
it gets all mucked up, and then now the
Mhm.
next series is all jacked up, and it's let's get
Yeah.
them on tape. I mean, let's see it played out, and then it's like basketball, man. Like I don't know much about basketball, but I love basketball because it's like when you play it right, it's free flowing, like it's moving.
Mhm.
Like if you're like you're playing a motion offense and you're telling everybody what to do, like it's gonna be weird. Everyone's gonna be a
Yeah.
half step slow. It's like play play through the flow. A flow is probably 4 or 5 possessions in basketball, and then it's gonna come to a stop, and then hey, here's they're overplaying this. Let's get backdoor on that, and let's roll like that kind of deal. Like keep it simple, and just keep them confident in the process. Like that's what I try to tell them. Like I liked your process, or your process was off, and that's my big thing. I
Correct.
try to spring is like, hey, process good, result not what we wanted, but you're good. Your process was good. Keep rolling. Like
Mhm.
or hey, your process off. You started your eyes wrong. You're going to be wrong every time when you do that, right? Something just like, is your process clean? Cool, we can roll with it. I'll coach you on the nuance. And other time I coach the nuance is like when we go to Q Indy during special teams, like I do, I think it's probably like a 15-minute period. We do like 8 to 12 minutes of Indy. And then what I do is I go over we did a team run period before, we did a blitz pickup period before, like, hey, this is what I saw. Where were your guys' questions? You guys need me any feedback? We're getting ready to go to half line and then the scale. This is what we're going to be hitting. This is how we're rotating, right? This is what I want you to think. Think about completions. Like that's where I try to give them
Yes.
because it reminds me of like a halftime setting.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. Love it,
Jamie,
man.
ready for rapid fire?
I am.
All right, I'm gonna kick it off while you
Let's
get
do it.
yours. All right, Coach, talk about running duo. What's your favorite surface to run duo out of? Do you like 3-man or 4-man or 7-man? Like, just what's your favorite way to run duo these days?
I like it when your skill guys are in a 3-by-1 set. We've seen like we're starting to see the kind of that boss linebacker set that kind of gets those doubles kind of overextended. So it's probably some type of um, you know, whether it's tight end wing or off ball in a really tight set where we can get that heavy C gap presence and we got inside out on the deal. The other one I really dig is duo wrap. I think duo wrap's a nasty boy, and especially if you have 2 on the call side, you're bringing somebody. You can bring them from wherever you want to bring them from, but I think that it gets to be some nastiness, and it starts setting up your little, I call them slices, but your guy underneath the formation. Like I think those are
Yeah, I
good
like that.
deals. I like our guys like our assistants like pistol. I like I call it the same side set. I'm a
Yep.
gun guy. If I coach maybe somewhere else, I really like the under center, but I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah. Well, I think
gotta
that kind of ties into what you're talking about with condensed formations because you can still run duo out of 10 personnel, condensing those guys down. And now it really does put those force players and those corners in much more of a bind. It's like, man, if you're a hard duo play action team, you got to choose, man. What do you want to do? Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Because we all know it's probably in a condensed set like that, he's going to end up bouncing it. Like he's going to keep
Yep.
it and he's going to get to the edge. And it's like, well, if we have our corner or our star or whoever getting off the ball, worried about pass, man, that's a 9-yard run
Yes.
out the rip, So, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, Coach. All right. So big quick game guy, and I am too. And I'm interested to hear you say what your thoughts are on this. How do you create explosives off quick game, or do you,
Great question. Yep. I think in the best passing concepts, in my opinion, especially in the quick game world, so just take stick, right? There's a vertical element, the new one, people call it shock. You got the inside fade. What I always think about is we want it versus cover 2, cover 4. We get a soft, Mike, and it's not going to match the stick, or they're going to play cover 3 with an inside nickel, and we can kick it out to the hitch. But to me, what I want is I want my best quick game to be insulated appropriately. And insulated appropriately is you have the appropriate vertical complements that when the defense tells you that you can no longer throw the quick game within the concept, it's almost that natural alert, right? You're running shock, right? With the number 3 on the stick, 2 on the inside fade, 1 on the hitch. As soon as it goes man and the free safety's playing, middle of the football field, make them pay for it. Make them pay. Don't hesitate. Don't worry. It's automatic, right? So to me, it's all, I call it insulation, right? Is we're running this quick game to get this. We like it versus this zone coverage is how we'll manufacture it against this, this zone coverage. But as soon as they do this, as soon as they boundary roll it and we have some type of end breaker over top, I want the ball ripped to the seam. I don't want you to think about the underneath. And so I have a cut up in a presentation. It's manufacturing explosives. And I started off with the shot plays. But most of it, my theme of it is like, I want shot plays built into our base offense. And they only come out when the defense tells us to come out. I call it fighting fire with fire. When they get aggressive, we get aggressive. If you want to let us throw 5-yarders, we'll throw 5-yarders and we'll attempt to go down the field. But if you come up on us in that concept, we got it. And if it's a concept that doesn't match up, we'll teach an automatic kill check in the install. Hey, we love this versus this, and this. If you get this, check it to this and go after their ass. Make them pay.
Yeah, no, I love that. We do a lot of like quick game on one side and intermediate switching on the other. I mean, I'm sure we're all on the same page there, but we've created so many explosives, and our explosive rate, like success rate, has been so much higher the last 3 or 4 years since we've really dialed into that, to where I'll call double slant and we're throwing touchdown bombs on like 9-step posts on the backside, and I didn't call it. It's
Correct.
just they're pushing out with the mic super hard to take the 3-step. Stars taking the fin, he's hitching up, and dude, it's freaking vertical switch city on the backside. And same thing on like stick. We'll throw the 5-step glance and the out. Like, dude, we're hitting that, and it's like great freaking play call. And it's like, no, dude, the quarterback is driving the Lamborghini here. Like, he's just in a different gear now. And
I think the beauty of what you did is obviously the kids that are making it come to life is you packaged it appropriately, right? And to me, when you have all-purpose plays, that takes the scaffolding and the scaling and the buckets and the teaching on the front end. But again, now you don't have to carry, all these magnificent shot plays that you put in during the week, because those work 1 out of 10 times I do it.
Right.
You build the shot play and you can't protect it, or they don't run the coverage. But if it's part of your everyday function and you run that concept every day, and when your defense has their man day or their boundary roll and it predicates the ball goes elsewhere, cool, this is what we do.
Exactly.
This is how we attack it. I think the beauty in it is on the front end for the coach, and then I think you're letting the players then bring it to life. Like, that's the beauty.
100%. 100%. Love it,
Coach. I like that. I think something defensively I started working on last year was having what we call like riot package, which means, so I'm a guy where it's like, hey, I want to run this pressure, but if we see these two formations, we're not running it. So instead of checking out of it, I tried to design like a riot package, which meant if I call riot, we have a pressure designed for every formation family that comes out. So it's like, these 3 may be a strong side pressure, but if you happen to come out in the 2 we don't want to run it against, we're going to bring a weak side pressure. So it's like, it's like you said, like, this is what we're giving to the kids, but they got to make the check. Hey, stick versus zone, man, we're going to eat them up either on the front side or the back side horizontal stretch. They come out and check, man, 50-50 ball, boys. We got to win. You know what I mean? Because the quick game's not there. So I think, man, the best coaches I've been around do that stuff. It's like they prepare. It's like chess. You're preparing for the next move. It's not reacting and saying, oh, I wish we would have called this right there in this situation. And that happens still. But, man, this has been great, Coach. I've thoroughly enjoyed this.
Yeah, hey, man, we really appreciate you being on, man. A lot of good insight.
I love the deep dive. I love the questions. And like you said, I think we got a little different take on all that stuff. But you guys are doing a heck of a job. And, the material's professional, and you're getting good guests out there. So I was stoked when we got the shout out to get on here. So that was great. Love the deep dive.
Definitely mutual.
Everybody who tagged Coach, man, this has been awesome.
Yes,
and we know the
one of the best.
Enjoy this.
One of the best for sure. Can't wait to get this one out there, man. So
I'm excited.
All right, guys, we'll see you all on the next one.
See you.
Thanks for tuning into the Coach Speak podcast. If you're interested in being a guest speaker on the show, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at coachspeakpodcast1@gmail.com. And if you have a question for our Q&A segment, don't forget to submit it through the form in the episode description. We appreciate your support, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.